Okay, so today's all about subdividing and why it's helpful. So we're going to start out the lesson talking about what is subdivision and how it can help you count a little bit more evenly when you play. It's a very, very common mistake for students to be counting quarter notes and then they go into eighth notes and all of a sudden they start going way faster than they should or even way slower, not playing them at the consistent tempo. Remember that the tempo is the speed at which the beats go by. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that speed between each one is the tempo, and it's usually designated by beats per minute or something like that. So let's get on to the first topic. The first thing we're going to talk about real quick is what is subdividing. Well, subdividing is when you take a note and you split it into multiple parts, but you still retain the speed in which you count the notes. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So here we go. Let me make sure we are, it's nice and big here. So say we have a measure of 4/4 that tells you 4 quarter notes in each measure and that the quarter note gets 1 beat. So here is 4 quarter notes. Okay, so there we have 4 quarter notes. We play it on the piano as 1, 2, 3, 4. And like I said, the speed in which we count 1, 2, 3, 4 is our tempo. And you want to make sure that whatever tempo you begin with is the tempo you keep going with throughout the piece, unless it tells you otherwise. So there's a key behind this, and it's called subdividing. So what we're going to do is instead of counting just 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll write that out here, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to do this thing called breaking the beats up into 2 parts. So it's going to be, I'm going to be counting as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which each quarter note taking up the number plus and that's how we're going to count it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now why did I do that? If I just had quarter notes, why would I count the second half of the beat rather than just 1, 2, 3, 4? We're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Well, that's because if you start to have different rhythm patterns, say we have eighth notes all of a sudden. Oh, that's why I still have the pen out. So say now we have a measure of eighth notes. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue counting the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but now instead of just playing one note for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and for each of the beats, now I'm going to be playing 2 notes, one for the number. So we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, excuse my terrible handwriting, especially at this angle, and then you're going to write the and. So I'm going to be playing that plus sign, by the way, means and. It's not, you're not going to say plus. All right, so you are going to still be counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but you're going to be playing each note for each one of these syllables. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, the reason before when we were counting the quarter notes and we were counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and is that by doing that, we can actually better transition into another measure with different rhythms, basically breaking the notes down into smaller parts. So the word subdivision is really when you're breaking notes down into smaller parts, but counting in subdivisions helps you transition from one measure to the next without changing speed. So here's what you don't want to do. I'm just going to play both of these measures, and I'm going to count them out loud. Or let me not count them out loud. Like if I was a beginning piano student, I wouldn't really understand how to count that out correctly. But if, I know what I'm doing and I subdivide 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Notice I kept counting at the same speed, but when I got to the eighth notes, I was just playing 2 notes instead of 1, and that makes the tempo even throughout. You can do the same thing. In fact, I recommend you do the same thing with other types of rhythms as well. So say you had a dotted quarter note Now, if you don't know what a dotted quarter note is, I'm actually going to put a playlist here, both at the end of the lesson, but I'm also going to put it in the description. It's a playlist where I explain how to count these different rhythms. So if you're a little bit lost, you'll want to check that out. Okay, so say you have other rhythm patterns. Did not like that, I guess. Why didn't it? So say now you have another rhythm pattern. You have a dotted quarter note, an eighth note, and then 2 quarters. Well, I could try to just, come in from that measure eighth notes and try to play into the next measure, but I had that off by a little bit. And actually, like I said, if you're not a trained piano student, you're actually not going to notice when you do these sorts of things unless you listen to a recording or something like that. So I'm going to mark this out. So remember that for a dotted quarter note, it gets 1.5 beats. Remember that when we split and subdivide each beat into 2 parts using 1 and, that you have to ask yourself how many halves, since each of those now represents half of a beat, the number, and then the and, it's going to take up 3 halves exist in 1.5 beats, right? You have half plus another half as a whole plus another half is 1.5. So it's actually going to take up the beats 1 and 2, and then the other and is going to come in on that eighth note, and then you're going to have 3, 4, just like that. So we're still going to be doing our subdivision though. So even though we're just counting beat 3 there with the quarter note, I'm going to draw brackets to where, it lets you know how many beats that takes up. And then let me draw one here as well that takes up 1 and 2. So even though we're still just counting quarter notes, you're still going to break those up into the other halves by saying and. So 3 and 4 and. So I'm going to be counting this measure as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that way my rhythm is nice and smooth. Let's transition in. Actually, let's do all 3 of these measures. Might look a little small. Let me see if I can get it in there to where we can kind of see what's going on in all 3. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to count from the first measure into that third measure there using subdivisions, breaking up each beat into 2 parts. So here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That ensured that I had a very consistent tempo throughout all 3 measures. So no matter what you're playing, whether you're playing half notes, you still want to be counting your 1 and 2 ands, because like I said, once you start breaking it up into smaller and smaller pieces, you'll do a lot better keeping a steady rhythm. Now, we're not going to get into it today because I wanted this to be a mini lesson. I'm actually going to do a part 2 here in a little while of where we talk about 16th notes. If you're talking about 16th notes, breaking them up even further into just the 2 halves, you have to understand how to subdivide into 4s, which is done in 1 and a. Like I said, we're going to save that for another day, another lesson. I don't want to bombard you with too much. I really just wanted to introduce you to the basic concept of what this is and why it matters. If you felt like this had helped you, this explanation, hit that like button, smash that like button, let other students know that they can learn from this lesson as well. All right, let's see. Let's move us on to one more thing. Just give me a second, everybody. All right, everybody, so let's do this. Okay, so I really want you to leave a comment, and I have a question for you. What are some of the issues that you encounter when counting rhythms? What are some, like, maybe the common mistakes or some of the things you see? Maybe you're a beginning student and you see it and you're like, I just don't get that, I just don't understand. I really want to know in the comments because, obviously when we all come together, it really helps generate some ideas for all us. If there's a problem that you're having with counting, then chances are another student's having it, and they would really love to hear our insights on, what to do and how to resolve those issues. So feel free to jump in. And if you see another student's comment, feel free to give them your advice if you feel like you know enough about that topic. I always love and encourage that kind of thing. Always really good to see us in the community that we have, in the classroom we have here together, that is YouTube. All right, let me say hello to a few people. I've been ignoring the comments because I just kind of want to do the lesson portion mostly and then get to that. All right, let's see. Are rests counted the same? Okay, rests are counted the same. So if you have quarter rests, you still want to be counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, the only difference is that you won't be playing the note instead. You'll just be resting. Great question. Stellarium is here once again, a regular student of ours. Let me get us, hold on a second, everybody. I actually got the chat up here today. Anybody, well, I'll do this only if it's an issue. If it's an issue, I'll have to assign a moderator to moderate the comments, but I think we're okay, at least for right now. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's see. Good to hear. Good to learn all this, Tim. No matter what time, day or night, says Fuddy Duddy. Learning this while in a Starbucks in Bangor, Maine, full of coffee to the gills. Glad to hear it, and glad to have you back with us again, Fuddy Duddy. Sheffield says following. Glad that you are following along with us today. Remember, everybody, to hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Chances are if you're here, you're probably subscribed. But make sure you look for that bell next to the subscription button. It's right next to it. And then you hit that, and it asks you what kind of updates you want from our channel lessons on the web. Click all updates, and then YouTube will finally let you know through email when we're meeting, when I post a new video, so you actually won't miss out. I know a lot of subscribers are missing out on their notifications just because of how YouTube works these days. So that's one way to get around it. If you're interested in coming out with us, we usually meet Fridays and Sundays. This isn't a usual time for us. At 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'd love to see you there. Let's see. Let me see if there's anything else I want to cover here today. You're very welcome, Eli. Okay, so if you like the lesson, and you like these lessons that you see on the channel, and you want more, much more, you want to go to pianolessonsontheweb.com. So let's go there right now, and I'm going to tell you what it's all about. Okay, so just give me a second. How would I count triplets? Great question. I will get to that in a second, Eli. Let me just get through this first. Okay, so here we are at my website, pianolessonsontheweb.com. So like I mentioned before a minute ago, that if you like these lessons you see on the channel, you're really going to like what you see over there, because it has the same kinds of videos, the same setup, same teaching style, I mean, it's from me, that you see here on the YouTube channel. It covers a lot of the stuff the YouTube channel does for beginners, so as a great review, it's a great review for beginners, but also has a lot of content for intermediate and advanced topics that I will probably never cover on the YouTube channel, or at least not anytime soon or in any sort of depth. So I really drill into a lot more depth here on the website. So what is it? Well, it's 25 courses that I've made, all designed to help you learn piano, music theory, improvisation, sight reading, rhythm, ear training, all sorts of things that I feel like you need to know, all tools that you need to have to become a well-rounded musician. So you can go through the website. I really highly suggest you go over there and at least read through, the verbiage, watch the video, learn what it's all about, and then you can browse our courses here. We have a lot of them that you can look through. As you can see, there's a ton of piano courses. There's 8 piano courses there right for you, but there's also, like I said, music theory, rhythm, improvisation, sight reading, and then you have ear training over if you click the side button right there. Okay, let's see, and then if you use the code YouTube, let me show you. You can buy courses individually, so you can click on a course, it will bring you there, and then you click buy course, Then you buy the course individually. They usually run $29.99. Some of the smaller courses are a little bit less than that, but for the most part, $29.99. And then if you go to buy courses, and actually this code applies to the individual courses and the course packs as well. If you use the code YouTube during checkout, you're going to get 15% off any order. So it doesn't matter what you buy or which courses you decide to enroll in, you will get 15% off your total at the end. Now, one thing I really want to tell you about right now is if you go to the buy courses page, there's packs. So I've combined that the courses together based on level, and then you get a discount for buying them in a pack. So like I said, the normal course costs $29.99. If you look at the beginner's pack, which has 4 courses in it, and right now we're running a special for summertime, it's going to end June 15th. You can get it for just $32, $31.99 there. So as you can see, for just a couple dollars more, you get 4 courses. Normally it's $39.99. So as you can see, you get a pretty good discount for getting them in the packs. So you get a discount before June 15th if you enroll now, but you can also use the code YouTube on top of that to get an additional 15% off. So now is actually a really, really good time to enroll because, first of all, summer's coming up. You're going to need something to do and learn during the summer, so it's a perfect time, I think. And then you can also get this double discount going on right now. So I highly recommend you go over and check that out. Okay, back to the live stream. Please give us a link, Tim. All right, I'll give you the link, Fuddy Duddy. Good call. All right, linking everybody over. And one more thing I want to mention is that it is also a great way to support the channel. So if you like what you see on the channel and you want more of it, then supporting me over on my website is a great way to do it. Patreon is also good as well. Okay, let me answer just some more of these questions here. Here we go. So, gave you the link. Please give us the link. Swing Triplets 2, please. Swing Triplets. I'm going to be honest. I'd have to look that up ahead of time to make sure I explain it right. So I'm going to have to save that for another day. I'm actually going to make a lesson on swing relatively soon. Let me do one thing first. Let me make sure I have this written down in my list. I was thinking about lesson ideas the other day, and swing came up, but I want to make sure that I absolutely have it written down on the upcoming lessons ideas list, so it does actually materialize and I don't forget about it. So everybody just give me a second. I want to write that down there for James. All right, I'm still here. Just give me another couple seconds and then I'll have it. Here we go. All right, there we go. I got it written down. I wanted to make sure I got that, so it's going to definitely happen. Because there are so many ideas sometimes. It's hard to keep track of. But one thing you can know is that when you're playing swing eighth notes, you're making the first part of the beat longer and the second part shorter. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you can actually fit in a regular triplet into a swing rhythm, and it really won't make that much of a difference because really the swing comes in on how you count eighth notes. But there is a way to count swing triplets. I'm going to save that for another day though. But if you go 1 and 2 and 3 triplet, 4 and, you still have the triplets in there, so you can at least play them for normal right now. But like I said, I want to look up the proper way so I can explain it to you in a way that makes sense and to make sure that you got it. I'm not huge into playing swing because I don't. I'm a mostly classical guy, but I have played my share of blues and swing and things like that. So I'd really have to go back and look that up to tell you the truth. Eric is here. Welcome back to our live stream. So glad to have you with us again. How would I count triplets? Okay, let me go back to counting these regular other triplets in the context of subdividing. Now, the challenge will be is that when you're counting triplets, I find that it's really hard to subdivide as one and play a triplet. One, and. It's just really hard and awkward to count. So what I do is I practice going from subdividing into triplets. Triplets is just another subdivision. That's why it's a little bit tricky, because it's different. With a triplet, you are actually dividing each beat now into 3 parts instead of 2. Remember, duplets, aka eighth notes, you're breaking them up into 2s, and then with triplets, you're breaking them up into 3s. So what I would do is if you had a rhythm with just, say, quarter notes and then triplets. So let me get this written in here for everybody. There you go. It's pretty good. And then, say, back to quarter notes. I would actually start subdividing the quarter notes as triplets right away. So what I'm going to do is how you subdivide triplets is you say the number that you're on plus tri and plet, because you need 3 different syllables for it. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. But with this, since you're going from quarter notes to triplets back to quarters, then you want to go 1 triplet, 2. Yeah, sorry. You're going to count. I'm going to play the first quarter note, and I'm going to count out all 3 of the triplets. 1 triplet. And then, as soon as I get into the 2 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, that ensures that I'm maintaining the same tempo from quarter notes to triplets. Now, if you have eighth notes, it gets tricky. Like I said, you have to go from breaking up the beat into 2 parts. Let me just do this. Hold on. You're going from breaking up the beats into 2 parts into breaking them up into 3. So it does make it quite a bit more difficult. Not sure why it's not cooperating with me. Okay. So you just have to get used to going from 1 and to 2 triplet, and then try to keep it as even as possible. What I recommend you do is if you can play along with a recording of a song that goes from triplets to eighth notes, that's something I advise you do, because that will get you used to it. But so here we have this measure. Obviously, we're going to have beat 1 is 1 and then with beat 2, let me write this in here. So I have 1 and then you have 2 and here. But remember that the quarter note takes up both of those. You have 3 triplet, 4 and. So here we go. It's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 triplet, 4 and. Just like that. So you're going to have to kind of practice going from triplets, because that's one subdivision, to eighth notes, because that's a whole nother ball game there. But great question. All right. Any other questions for us today around our topic, or even if you have them in general about the channel or the website or things like that? I wanted this to be a mini lesson today, so we're probably going to end it a bit earlier than an hour. One thing I want to tell you, though, I need to remember to do one more thing before we go, which is tell you, where to go from here. But let me think here for a second. Oh, I want to tell you that we're meeting on this Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you don't want to miss that lesson, because it's going to be a really good one. All right, let's see. I'm talking about time subdivision. Great question from Pablo. But you want to check us out Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me show you what we're talking about, and then let me show you one thing that I think is useful. So if you go back to my website, there's a free portion made just for the live stream called the community page. You click on that, it brings you to the community page. You scroll down, and this is the most useful piece of information. It's the calendar of when we're meeting and what we're talking about. Now, we have the simplest piano improv technique. So if you've never, on Friday, so if you've never improv before in your life, that's the lesson for you, because it's a really simple thing, really easy to get the hang of, and it sounds pretty cool as well. So it's a really good first lesson into that. We're taking off the next Friday, so there is a little bit of a gap in there. But on Sunday we're meeting, and then the following Sunday we're meeting. It's usually just generally a Q&A, but sometimes I'll fit in a little lesson there, so it's more of a surprise as to what that always turns into. And then the following Friday after that, June 16th, we have piano songs to learn for hand independence. You're very welcome, Pablo, and welcome back to the live stream. And then while we're finishing up here, if you want to donate to the live stream, if you believe in our community and growing stronger, there's a super chat option, which is fairly new. So below your name where it says say something, there's a little $sign. If you click that, you can donate a couple of dollars. But if you want to, I just wanted to tell you about that. All right, let's do a quick wrap up, and then we'll go from there. All right, students, so today, as you remember, since you just watched the lesson, we learned about subdividing, which is basically breaking down notes into smaller pieces, and you learn how to subdivide when you're counting so you can play from measure to measure a lot more smoothly. Where I recommend you go from here is I really want you to check out a playlist I made about learning all of these rhythms. I think there's about 10 or so lessons in there that you really want to check out. If you're really new to counting, you don't know how to count quarter notes, eighth notes, dotted quarter notes, things like that, you want to go over there because that will kind of help catch you up. And then you want to rewatch this lesson if you got to the end and you don't know that stuff to kind of get the maximum benefit there. So I highly recommend you check out that playlist. So this has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. Thank you so much for coming out and learning with us today. Smash that like button if you liked the video and you learned something. And I'll talk to you in the next lesson. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. I'm still around for right now. We'll do I don't know, just if you have any last minute comments or questions, feel free to leave them. Like I said, it was so great having you all with us today. I'm going to thank everybody that came by before we go. So thank you to Pablo, Fuddy Duddy. Link us to the playlist. Yes, I will do that by the end, or in a minute. James Armstrong, thanks for coming out again. Eric is Eric, as always, been a pleasure. Stellarum, thanks for coming. Fuddy Duddy, again, I think I might have thanked you before. Sheffield, thanks for coming out. Ed, Mikey, thank you all for coming out today. So, let's see here. And then I have to link you guys. Let me get the link for everybody. Okay, grabbing the link. Just give me a minute. Here it is. Okay, everybody, that does it. Check out the live chat to find that link that I gave you, where to go next to learn all of these, rhythms and how to count those. It's been a pleasure, everybody. I'll talk to you again real soon. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, obviously, but you want to hit especially the notifications bell. Punch that bell with your clicky mouse and sign up for all updates. So thanks, everybody. And I'll talk to you on Friday, but I'll talk to you maybe before that. I'll release a video, but I'll talk to you real soon. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Pablo.